Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Tommy Kraft and I'm here to bring you through another visual effects shot that I've been working on for all of you technophiles out there who may be interested. We're going to be looking at this shot here from Electron Blade, our independent sci-fi TV pilot we've been working on now for a little bit. I want to kind of just show you the process as I've done the past couple of weeks I've gone through to create this shot. So let's start with our source footage, as we always do. So this is our shot here. There was a little bit of camera movement throughout the shot. So I had to track that first of all. I did a position and rotation tracker down here and up here. And this is what our shot looks like in the scene after it's been kind of reframed a little bit. And I do a little reduced noise with neat video here because image grain always makes compositing much harder. So being able to get this out is really helpful. And then another thing I try to do as often as possible on set is shoot with as little motion blur as possible. And this will also help with compositing. You see there's a little bit here on his rifle already in the shot. But this plugin, Real Smart Motion Blur, will actually calculate the movement of pixels using optical flow to recreate the motion blur from the original image. So it's kind of having the best of both worlds. So if we drop down in here now, the next thing we have is our background. So this background is a little bit different from some of the others in that it is a 1-to-1 size. It's perfectly square. And the reason for that is the camera movement that I talked about motion tracking previously, because the camera actually pans up and down a little bit. So I needed the background image to be larger than the actual source footage so it would have room to pan down. The other way to track this would be with a 3D track, and you take the 3D track in and you render out a plate for the whole thing. And in this case, this shot is 1 second and 17 frames or 41 total frames. That would take at least a couple of days to render out. So the workaround to that is to render out a still that is larger than what we need, that we can then pan around a little bit and zoom in and zoom out to get the right shot. The only problem is sometimes your background will have movement in it. This is a water fountain, and these are street lights that come on and off. So what I did to account for this, rather than having to render this whole thing out, which takes about an hour to 2 hours per frame, I rendered the whole thing, and then I rendered just the street lights. And only a section of the street lights to save time. So this is all I have rendered of the street lights. Basically, I looped it, and then just repeated it for over 4 seconds, and then just dropped it in and colored it in a bit to make it fit a little bit better. So I got this little water fountain that I custom simulated here with Phoenix FD. And it looks a little plain because it is. There's no motion blur, and I'm also going to be dropping some mist and such in later. So I've got my water fountain and my street lights now. Got the actual background. And then a doubling up of our reflection pass. And then the refraction pass. And I've also taken our fountain and our street lights and dropped them in over here. And so that way when I double up my refraction pass, the fountain and the lights also come with it. That's set to add. We've got a self-illumination pass, which is just this little strip here. Now this is for this case over here because I wanted it to kind of be under construction. Like they haven't put a display in here yet. So I kind of darkened it out here in After Effects, blurred it out, and then added these holographic displays. And then they also exist over here with a story about this thing in here. These displays have a little bit of animation to them too, nothing crazy, but just the base display itself, and then a layer behind it using some fractal noise that's a bit smaller and some different color, and then a radial blur on that to give it some kind of light ray type effect, and then the same thing on top but scaled up. And finally, I have a nice little light source up here just to kind of imitate the light that's coming from their faces in the original footage that we saw back here. And then there's a star glow on top to give us these nice little flares off the lights and a camera lens blur. And now we have our final shot. So there we have it, another virtual set. These are the two final shots played back to back here, and as you can see, having that one size fits all background is really helpful because it was used in both shots and then just scaled up. So another technique for saving time when you're an indie sci-fi film and you don't have render time. So thank you for joining. Check us out next week. Check out our Patreon. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And check out Mondays for video blogs with progress on Electron Blade.